police report, because any suicidal death is not natural. So natural deaths, there's less rigor and legality. You just go straight to URSB or to NIRA and process the death certificate. But with accidental deaths like road accidents or even murders, now in the case of suicide, it's not a natural death. It's self-inflicted death. So the police have to be there. You can't even touch the body. So the police had to lower her body from the noose where she had hung.
That was at home?
At home. She hung on the DSTV dish in our compound. On the wall of the compound, using a flat iron cord or cable. And so the police had to get involved and give us clearance even to proceed with burial. Without the police's permission, we could not have proceeded with burial, because they had to rule out any foul play. And when it turns out that she was actually mentally ill, we pointed them to the evidence of that. We showed
this history of medical.
Yes, her medical history, the hospital where she had even been admitted last year in November. So they empathized with us and just said, permission to bury, granted, please proceed. There's no case. Yeah, so.
Mr. Ajal, yes. Tell us about your story and your life and her life. How did you meet? How did you meet? Before we are talking about her like she didn't exist. And I think it's quite unfair. So let's talk about, tell us about you and her and how you met and how it came about that she found or you found yourself in such a situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I have spoken about this story when I did the Twitter Spaces on Saturday, last Saturday with Andrew Chamagiru on NTV. I've also spoken about it extensively at the funeral, both funerals, in my home and also in the village. I did mention how we met, but for the purpose of this podcast, I'll speak about it also. Answer to your question, Beth.
Thank you.
We met in 2002. I was a fresh graduate, just left university with my bachelor's. I hadn't even graduated, just finished. So we met in the same congregation that we used to attend in Kampala South, which is Kansanga. I had moved off from my parents' home to live with my uncle in Zambia. And we met. We were not dating at all. I was not interested in her. We were both very young. But that's when I first saw her. Fast forward, I got my first job in 2003 with UEDCL. And no sooner had I got my first salary than I left my uncle's home. I left in Zambia and went and rented a small place in Bunga. So when I had my housewarming, I've always been a hospitable person. I'm very extroverted. I love barbecuing. I love roasting,
Wow.
I love hosting people. So I invited friends over from the congregation, lots of co-workers, and my house was full. So when she came, amongst those very many people that I invited, she was very helpful. She was walking all over the place. She was cleaning in the kitchen, scrubbing things here and there. Bachelor pads can be messy.
Yeah, true.
Our friends were around. But she was the one offering to do a lot of the hard work without being asked. I didn't ask her. So at that housewarming party, one of our friends, Hannah, her name's Hannah, she spoke to her and said, "Hey, this young man has some potential. What do you think of him?"
He spoke to her.
Hannah spoke to her. Yeah, and said, "That young boy, he has some bit of potential. What do you think? He's a good boy." So she got curious. She wasn't really going to start dating or anything like that. She was just curious. Meanwhile, me on the other hand, I was not interested. Really, I wasn't.
But you had noticed the hard work and the initiative and the down-to-earthness, all those things.
A man would definitely notice, since hard work is, like housework is not, cleaning is not your thing really. So you would definitely notice someone reaching even the dark corners
Yes.
to clean your house on
Yeah.
top of that.
Yes, and cook.
And cook. Yeah.
Yes. So I hosted guests at my home till late, maybe 10, 11, maybe midnight, I don't know. So people disappeared, everybody went home. And we went about our lives normally. So a few weeks later, she had to travel out of the country. She was volunteering as an usher. And I think a few times she was also offering to model because she was pretty tall, very attractive and pretty tall too, with Arapapa models at the time. Uganda Fashion Week.
Yes.
So during the Uganda Fashion Week, she volunteered, and then shortly thereafter, she left. So she told me when we met at the congregation, she told me, oh, by the way, I think I'm going to Nairobi for some time. I want to spend my long vacation in Nairobi. And I think, yeah, I'll be gone for a while. Remember, I'm now 23, she's 19. We had a 4-year age difference. So when she said she'll be gone to Nairobi for the entire 9 months, a part of me was like,
it's long.
I let you just go like that without saying anything. I started getting mixed feelings,
Yeah.
butterflies in the stomach.
Wow.
So I persuaded her not to leave without saying much. I just said, just chill around. Why do you want to go away? You want to leave this beautiful Uganda for who? Because I thought if she goes to Nairobi, her mother being Kenyan and what, she might get into a university in Kenya. I don't see her. Anyway, she stayed. And then shortly thereafter, I think we agreed sort of mutually to start dating. It was not deliberate. There was no deliberateness in going about.
There's no sun coming down and flowers and picnics,
No.
letters and nothing.
It just happened.
Oh, wow.
I never went out to send my CV there, wait for it to be rejected. It just happened.
You didn't pursue
the
like
chemistry just happened.
organic.
It was organic.
Which is, I think, natural for all people that are meant to be together. Somehow you don't have a lot of fuss and a lot of, you're not struggling a lot to get the person. Things just naturally work themselves out.
I think so. Okay. You're funny. So
Yes.
I went to her mom. Me, I believed in doing things properly.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I told Mama, I think I like Sinai, and I think maybe, what do you think if I started seeing her? Imagine we had not even started dating, but I just already was seeking permission from the mom. And the mother said, you're a good young man. Yeah, let's wait and see how that pans out. So she had no objection, and we began dating.
So as a man, you had some kind of value system,
Yes.
natural value system that you're using,
Yes.
that you gotta make it known to the mama, to
Yes.
the parents and so on.
Yes, I didn't want her mother thinking that I'm just messing around with her daughter. I would never do that. So I went straight up to her, even long before we had even any.
That's a scary thing for some people.
Very. Especially if the girl has not yet.
Actually, she had no objection.
Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't have an objection to that. So we got married 2 years later, in 2005. By then I was now 25, and she was 21. Still pretty young,
Young
if you
guys.
think about it.
Very
young
But
guys.
I was focused.
Yeah.
I was very, very focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. Okay.
So you spoke earlier on. You spoke about showing police the history of her condition. That's where this thing of till death do us part comes in. At what point in time did you discover that she's having issues mentally with mental health?
Okay. When I knew for a certain was much later, but the red flags were there, the signs were there. In courtship, remember, this is courtship, this is not even marriage yet. We don't even stay together. For us, we never lived together until we got married. So I would notice that she was extremely possessive.
Okay.
You know how you turn up at church and you just come to worship and go back home. 2 hours. And she would pick on one or two sisters and say, I don't like that sister. You ask her, why don't you like her? I don't like the way she looks at you. Like, but I've not done anything with her.
Yeah.
And I'm not even interested.
Yeah.
Or they might have a crush on you. Be like, but I'm not crushing on them. I'm crushing on you. I don't even know their name. I don't even know what they do, who their parents are. There's very little I know, apart from we see each other here, we say hello, we sing, pray, and go home. I don't know what it is you're talking about. But she would insist that I had something going on. So that extreme paranoia was already there. She was paranoid.
Yeah. You hadn't met a person of that nature before.
I had never dealt with a paranoid person to that extent. I had never. There's small time paranoia we all have. A bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all get a little bit freaked out and scared about who is following us, who is watching us, who is checking my phone. That's normal. But this was a bit on the borderline side. It was a bit too much. Then she would be extremely possessive of me. She would not want me to even be with her sisters. She would not want me to be with other sisters in the congregation. She would not want me to be with my co-workers who are female, and yet the nature of my work is HR,
Yes.
and HR is predominantly female. Coaching is also predominantly female, and clients are also predominantly female because again of the nature of the work. So heads of HR are majority women. This would set off her alarm bells, and she was constantly paranoid. Even if I would reassure, so I also withdrew from being. If a female friend came up and wanted to hug me, sometimes I would even refuse. Not because it was a wrong thing, but I hug.
You became conscious of.
I became
her.
conscious of her sensitivity, and fearful of what her feelings might be. So I also withdrew from normal societal expressions of friendship and normal things. And I would deliberately stay away from social gatherings, from friends, even the boys. You'd not find me in sports clubs. I still play basketball, but even that would trigger.
I wondered where I know you from. Damn, it's basketball.
Really?
You've seen him before.
You are familiar. We've not met like specifically like face to face.
Yeah.
But the basketball, I think Brian, Brian has not done basketball, but I've seen you somewhere.
Yeah, it's possible.
I've
been in basketball circles for so long.
Yes.
Over 20 years. If you add my high school days, over 30 years in basketball. I love basketball. Yeah, so, yes. So she was that kind of person.
Yeah.
And
which we in society we think it's jealous, or my wife is jealous, my girlfriend is jealous. We may not look at it as a mental or illness or paranoia like you said. We might say the girl likes me too much, and she's clingy. But if you study it further, it might, because we're talking about it right now, it could actually be, or it is a serious matter.
It is.
Yeah.
You've nailed it. You hit the nail on the head. So, when you love a person, there's a level of possessiveness.
Yes.
It's acceptable. But when it goes to a place where you start to harm them or yourself with your actions and your words, it's no longer healthy. Now, that's borderline mental illness, and it needs to be investigated.
Yes.
So that was the first red flag. So she would throw tantrums about my neighbors who are female, about my co-workers who are female, and every time I shifted and moved jobs, I would make sure to tell my co-workers, my female co-workers, to just not ever be offended if my wife called them and insult them, like seriously insulted them. I'd tell them she's not okay, just ignore. Act like it didn't happen. Of course, they would be very pissed at me and her and say, "Who do you think you guys are? Leave us alone. We're minding our own business." So, those were some of the red flags. Extreme possessiveness, jealousy,
did that affect
and anger.
Did that affect your relationship?
Yes, of course.
It did affect your relationship.
Even from dating days, we broke up.
Yeah, separations or breaking up.
No, we broke up when we were still dating. We broke up once. Because she had thrown tantrums. Bad ones. Very bad ones.
Whoa.
Yes, already. We're not living together. We're not married. We're not even got engaged. Just dating. So I went up to the congregation elder.